Kaluga Oblast is a federal subject of Russia. Its administrative center is the city of Kaluga. Population 1,010,930. Established in 1944, Kaluga Oblast is located in the heart of the European part of Russia. It has well-developed transportation and utility infrastructure. The oblast has been demonstrating high economic growth rates, has substantial human reserves, and is one of the largest cultural, educational and scientific centers of Russia. Geography. Kaluga Oblast lies in the central part of the East European plain. The oblast's territory is located between the central Russian upland, the Smolensk-Moscow upland and the Dnepr province. Most of the oblast is occupied by plains, fields and forests with diverse flora and fauna. The administrative center is located on the Bayudino-Sukhaniki plain. The western part of the oblast, located within the drift plain, is dominated by the Spars-Demensk Ridge. To the south of it is an outwash plain that is part of the Bryansk-Zhistro woodlands, with average elevation up to 200 meters. From north to south, Kaluga Oblast extends for more than 220 kilometers, from 53 degrees 30 to 55 degrees 30 northern altitude, and east to west for 220 kilometers. Its area is 29,800 square kilometers. The oblast's territory is crossed by major international motor and railways linking Kaluga with Moscow, Bryansk, Kiev, Lvov and Warsaw. Kaluga Oblast borders on Bryansk Oblast to the west, Oryol Oblast to the southwest, Tula Oblast to the southeast, Moscow Oblast to the east, Smolensk Oblast to the north. The federal city of Moscow. Terrain, geological structure and mineral resources. Kaluga Oblast's modern terrain replicates pre-glacial terrain, undulating, with river valleys, ravines and hollows. Some glacial lakes have been preserved, like the oblast's deepest lake, the Bezdan. The oblast is located between the central Russian upland and the Smolensk-Moscow upland. There are both low plains elevating to 200 meters above sea level, and high plains rising above 200 meters. The southeastern part of the oblast is occupied by the central Russian upland, and extreme northwest by the Spars-Demensk Ridge. The uplands are separated by the Ugorsk-Protvino lowland. In the extreme southwest, the oblast is covered by Bryansk-Zhistro woodlands, and in the central part, by the Bayudino-Sukhaniki plain. The highest point of the oblast is located on the Spars-Demensk Ridge at 279 meters, and the lowest, in the valley of the Oka. Thus the amplitude of the terrain is 160 meters. Kaluga Oblast is situated in the central part of the East European platform. The depth of the top structural stage is 400 to 500 meters in the south and up to 1,000 to 1,400 meters in the north. Most of the sedimentary sheath was formed by Devonian deposits. The share in the south exceeds 80% of the entire aqueous depth. There are 4 geo-economic districts in Kaluga Oblast: northeast, central, south and northwest. The specific value of Kaluga Oblast's deposits is over Rs 8 million per square meters. 550 solid mineral deposits with 19 types of mineral resources, 131 fresh and 13 mineral subsoil water sources have been discovered in the oblast's territory. The range of the oblast's mineral resources includes phosphates, brown coal, mineral pigments, plaster stone, building stone, construction chalk, carbonate rock for soil liming and pulp and paper production, fire clay and high melting clay, low melting clay for brick and clay aggregate production, tripolite for manufacturing of whitening soil and thermolith gravel, clay for drilling fluids, sand and gravel mixtures, glass making and molding sand, construction and silicate sand, black dirt, putrid ooze and mineral water. There are 24 deposits with industrial reserves of clay exceeding over 220 million cubic meters, 14 of which are currently in intensive development. The Ulyannovo deposit of fire and ceramic clays is one of the biggest in Russia, and one that has not yet been developed industrially. It accounts for 16.2% of all high-melting clay reserves in the Central Federal District. Such clay is used in manufacturing of fire-resistant products applied in metallurgy, cement, glass and other industries, where production processes are associated with high temperatures. Given consistent development of construction in the Central Federal District, the demand for clay from the Ulyannovo deposit will reach 600,000–700,000 tons per year. The Ulyannovo deposit has every potential to become the principal resource base of construction and refractory companies well beyond Kaluga Oblast. Combined balance reserves of brown coal in the Moscow lignite basin deposits amount to 1,240 million tons, including Vorotinskoye, North Asievskoye, Seredetskoye, Studenovskoye. Although the quality of the coal is not high, it is of interest due to its proximity to major consumers. Balance reserves of black dirt are around 24 million tons. The oblast's mineral resource potential is sufficient to meet the demands for the principal types of non-metallic resources. In 2013, Kaluga Oblast had 109 acting licenses for construction material extraction. Climate: the climate of Kaluga Oblast is moderately continental with distinct seasons, warm and humid summers, and cold winters with stable snow cover. The average temperature in July is +18 degrees Celsius in north and +20 degrees Celsius in south, and in January -11 degrees Celsius in northeast and -8 degrees Celsius in southwest. The duration of the warm period is 215 to 220 days. The territory of the oblast is exposed to a substantial amount of solar radiation, around 115 kilocalories per square centimeter. The average annual air temperature varies from 3.5 to 4.0 degrees Celsius in the north and the northeast to up to 4.0 to 4.6 degrees Celsius in the west and the east of the oblast. The duration of the frost-free season is 113 to 127 days. The northern part of the oblast is the coldest, while the central part is moderately cold. In the south, in the zone of forest steppes, the climate is relatively warm. The precipitation rates in Kaluga Oblast are rather high. The precipitation is distributed unevenly in the territory of the oblast, varying from 780 to 826 mm in the north and the west and up to 690 to 760 mm in the south. The climate of the oblast is characterized by frequent spring frosts as well as alternation of hot, dry and cold humid summers, which makes agricultural production in this oblast risky. There are 6 meteorological stations of the Russian Meteorological Service operating in the oblast. Hydrography: there are 2,043 rivers in the oblast with a total length of 11,670 kilometers, of which 280 rivers have a length of over 10 kilometers with a total length of 7,455 kilometers. There are 1,763 rivers and small streams that have a length of less than 10 kilometers. The total length is 4,215 kilometers. The average density of the river network is 0.35 kilometers per square kilometer. The Oka is the main river in the Oblast river system. There are also other large rivers in the Oblast, including the Uzhira, the Zhizra, the Protva, the Voya, the Resa, the Shanya, and the Yachenka. There are 19 water reservoirs in the Oblast with a water storage capacity of over 1 mLNm³ each. The total water storage capacity of the water reservoirs is around 87 mLNm³. There are only a few lakes in the oblast. These include lakes Bezdan, Svirtoy, Galkino, Bezymyanoy, and Sosnovoy. The total area of the oblast occupied by marshes is less than 1%. The marshes are concentrated mainly in the north and west of the oblast. Soils. The predominant soils in the oblast are sod-podzolic. Telepodzol soils are predominant at the watersheds. Cryptopodzol soils predominate in the northern part of the territory in the east and southeast of the oblast, and alluvial soils are predominant in the plain floods. Sod-podzolic lead soils are predominant in the south. Grey and light grey soils are predominant in the central and eastern parts of the oblast. Vegetation. The total area occupied by forests is around 1,380,000 hectares. The total reserves of timber are 228.3 mLNm³, most of which are birches and aspens. Protective forests occupy an area of 585,300 hectares, and merchantable forests occupy an area of 808,800 hectares. 44% of the oblast territory is covered by forests. The total forest cutting area in 2007 was 2,507,800 cubic meters, including 300,500 cubic meters of pines, 42,000 cubic meters of hardleaf trees, 2,168.3 cubic meters of softleaf trees. The actual volume of trees cut in 2005 was 379,200 cubic meters, including 133,400 cubic meters of conifers. There are vast expanses of broadleaf tree forests in the southeast of the oblast, the Lovsko-Kaluzsky forest. As of the beginning of 2005, agricultural lands occupied an area of 1,350,000 hectares, of which tillage lands comprise 32%, and forage lands 12% of the total land area of the oblast. The main crops grown include forage cereals, potatoes, vegetables, and feed grains, and fiber flax. The area covered by marshes is relatively small, around 0.5% of the total territory, and there are fewer marshes in the east as compared to the western part of the oblast. Fauna. Over 2 centuries of research, several thousands of species of invertebrate animals and 396 vertebrates were discovered in Kaluga Oblast. 132 vertebrate species are included in Kaluga Oblast's Red Book of Endangered Species, including 36 from the current list of protected species of the Russian Federation. The oblast's territory is inhabited by 68 species of mammals. These include typical forest animals, brown bear, lynx, elk, wolf, polar hare, and squirrel. There are also species more typical for prairies: hamsters, great jerboa, spotted prairie dog, and the bowback marmot. In recent decades, hunting estate employees have been dispersing small population species. Among them are the Russian muskrat, beaver, boar, and roe. All of them adapted very well and increased populations. There were also efforts to acclimatize species that previously did not inhabit the oblast. Oblast, the raccoon dog, beaver rat, the red deer and the sika deer, which quickly achieve game populations. The south of the oblast is sometimes visited by bison that were recently released into the Olovskoye Polsy National Park. The oblast's aquatic fauna includes 2 kinds of lamprey and 41 species of bony fish. The diversity of fish is explained by the variety of habitats. Thus, the Oka Basin is inhabited by brook lamprey, and the Desna and its tributaries by the Ukrainian lamprey. Stagnant pools are home to crucian and gold carp, tench and many other fish varieties. Pond estates breed mirror carp, silver carp, grass carp and, sometimes, peld. Of the commercially valuable fish, bream predominate. Rare varieties include starlet, riffle minnow, and slimy sculpin that are included in Russia's Red Book of Endangered Species. Among 11 kinds of amphibians, the most common are crested and common newts, red-bellied, common and green toads, and various lake, pool, moor and grass frogs. Reptiles are represented by 7 species, including snakes, the venomous adder and the harmless water snake and smooth snake. Lizards are quite common. Sand lizards and deaf adders that do not have limbs and are often mistaken for snakes. There are 267 kinds of birds registered as visiting the oblast, including 177 to nest, 58 to migrate and 32 to occasionally transit. The number of bird species staying for the winter has increased to 93, which is due to anthropogenic landscape transformations. The most significant bird of prey habitats are located in the Kaluga Zaseki Reserve and the interfluvae of the Bartbet and the Reseta. The largest populations are waterfowl, mallard, semi-aquatic black-headed gull, in forest chaffinch, chiffchaff, along riverbanks, sand martin, in settlements, rock pigeon, common swift, rook, tree sparrow. Flora forests cover 45% of Kaluga Oblast. Combined reserves of timber are 269 million cubic meters, of which 30% are coniferous species, and 67% soft-wooded broadleaved species. According to data for 2013, the annual allowable cutting rate was 3,136,900 cubic meters. It is currently utilized to 30%. The annual stand increment is 4.8 million cubic meters. The oblast's forest zone has 2 subzones, combined coniferous and broadleaved forests. The combined subzone is dominated by various types of spruce forests. The tree layer in such forests is formed by the Norway spruce mixed with pine, birch, aspen, basswood and common oak. Primary broadleaved forests occupy a small area in the interfluvae between the Vitebet, the Gistra and the Oka. Here, the edificatory species are common oak, tillet, taller ash, and elm trees. Unlike the coniferous forests, these are polydominant ones, with 7 to 8 layers. Usually there is birch and aspen in the second layer, with lowland maple, crabapple and field ash in the third layer. There is also a well-developed layer of shrub. Herbage is dominated by prevernal ephemeroids and perennials. The oblast's extrazonal flora is represented by pine and small-leaved forests, swamps and meadows. The common pine forms forests on sand banks of ancient alluvial flats, sand terraces of river valleys, stagnant peaty soil. There are also white and green moss pinewoods, sphagnous and complex pinewoods. The tree layer in small-leaved and derivative mixed forests is formed by weeping and white birch, aspen, goat willow, spruce, pine and oak trees. There are 2 types of meadows, floodplains and dry meadows. Swamps are distributed unevenly. The greatest concentration is in the northwest and west, and in the Bryansk-Gistra woodlands. conservation and ecological condition. According to the governmental report on the status of the environment and its conservation in the Russian Federation, published by the Russian Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, Kaluga Oblast is one of the most ecologically pure regions of the Central Federal District. In 2012, by the condition of its atmosphere, Kaluga was a top 10 among 85 Russian cities. In Kaluga Oblast, environmental assessment, regulation, licensing and control in the sphere of environmental protection are handled by several authorized governmental agencies. In 2008, the oblast established a territorial system for environmental monitoring. In 2013, the Investment Council, supervised by the governor of Kaluga Oblast, passed a resolution on the creation of an eco-technopark. The park will be designed with the use of the best technologies, ensuring its sanitary and environmental safety. Priorities include protection of surface and subterranean waters from contamination, storage and recycling of industrial and household waste, radiation security, and reduction of air pollution. Kaluga Oblast's share in combined air and water polluting emissions in the Central Federal District is insignificant. By level of screening and decontamination of harmful substances, the oblast is in the third place after Bryansk and Belgorod oblasts. Most of the harmful atmospheric emissions are generated by Kaluga, Kiev, Obninsk, Lyudanovo, and by the Dzerzhinsky district. The accident in Chernobyl resulted in radioactive contamination in the oblast's south and southwest. Radiation monitoring is conducted in 9 districts. The radiation background complies with the established radiation situation. The oblast has many stations for the collection, storage, removal and processing of ferrous and non-ferrous metal scrap, glass and paper. The oblast's plants implement waste-free technologies. Primary sorting of waste is performed by Polygon, a small enterprise in Obninsk, and by others. There are several successful eco-settlements in Kaluga Oblast: the nature reserve Kaluzhskaya Zaseki, the UGRA National Park, the Tarusa Natural Reserve, and the Kaluzhsky Born Natural Sanctuary. History. The territory of Kaluga Oblast has been inhabited since ancient times. The oldest human sites discovered by archaeologists date back to the Mesolithic period. The first mentions of Kaluga's towns are associated with events in the 12th century, specifically, the feudal war between the Oligovichi and the Monomakovichi. In the 14th century, Kaluga lands were the place for constant confrontations between Lithuania and Moscow. In 1371, Olgierd, Grand Duke of Lithuania, wrote to Philotheos, Patriarch of Constantinople, to complain about Alexei, Metropolitan of Kiev and all Russia, who seized some of his cities, including Kaluga, which in that letter is mentioned for the first time. Traditionally, it is considered that Kaluga was established as a frontier to protect the Moscow Principality from Lithuania's attacks. In 1480 to 1481, Kaluga's territory was the place of an event bearing high significance for Russian history, the Great Stand on the UGRA River, resulting in the liberation of Russian lands from the Tatar yoke and Moscow's transformation into a sovereign state. In the 16th and 17th centuries, with active development of trade and crafts, Kaluga became more than a military outpost. Sources indicate that the rich city was advanced in the arts of wood carving and jewelry. After the reunification of Russia and the Ukraine in 1654, Kaluga's role as a trade intermediary between Moscow and the Ukraine contributed even more to its economic development. On August 24, 1776, Catherine II issued a decree establishing Kaluga Viceroyalty to unite Kaluga and Tula governorates. The center of the Viceroyalty acquired a new image, and even today Today Kaluga's planning and development is considered a brilliant achievement of Russian urbanism of late 18th and early 19th centuries. During the rule of Paul I in 1795, Kaluga Viceroyalty was transformed into a governorate. The end of the 18th century and the first 3 decades of the 19th century were a period of economic stability. Kaluga continued to act as an intermediary, trading with Moscow, Petersburg, Ukraine, Siberia, Poland and German cities. During the Great Patriotic War, the territory was liberated from German occupation by the Soviet armies 10th, 16th, 33rd, 43rd, 49th, 50th, and 61st Armies, the 20th Tank Brigade, 1st Air Army, 1st Cavalry Corps, and the Normandy Squadron. The modern oblast was founded in accordance with the decree of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR of July 5, 1944. Kaluga Oblast included the following cities and districts: the city of Kaluga, Babyninsky, Dechinsky, Dugninsky, Kaluzsky, Peremyshsky, and Tarasky districts, Borovsky, Vysokonechsky, Maloyaroslavetsky, and Ugodsko-Zavodsky districts, Baryutinsky, Dzhedzinsky, Dumanichsky, Iznoskovsky, Kirovsky, Kozelsky, Kybyshevsky, Medinsky, Mashchovsky, Mosolsky, Spazdomensky, Sukanichsky, and Yuknovsky districts, and Zhizadrinsky, Lyudnovsky, Ulyanovsky, and Kvostovichsky districts. After the dissolution of the USSR, Kaluga Oblast became a federal subject of the Russian Federation. On March 27, 1996, the Charter of Kaluga Oblast was adopted. Demographics: 2012 births, 11,835. Deaths, 15,806. Total fertility rate. Population. According to the results of the 2010 census, the population of the oblast is 1,010,930, down from 1,041,641 recorded in the 2002 census, and further down from 1,066,833 recorded in the 1989 census. 77,292 people were registered from administrative databases and could not declare an ethnicity. It is estimated that the proportion of ethnicities in this group is the same as that of the declared group. Religion. As of a 2012 official survey, 48.6% of the population of Kaluga Oblast adheres to the Russian Orthodox Church. 7% declare to be generically unaffiliated and non-denominational Christians. 2% of the population are adherents of the Slavic native faith movement. 2% are Orthodox Christian believers who do not belong to church or belong to other Orthodox churches. Less than 1% of the population are Muslims. 5.4% follow other religion or did not give an answer to the survey. In addition, 26% of the population declares to be spiritual but not religious, and 9% to be atheist. Kaluga Oblast is an important center of the Slavic native faith movement, being the headquarters of the Union of Slavic Native Faith Communities located in Kaluga city. The region has many temples dedicated to the Slavic gods. Administrative and municipal divisions. Within the framework of administrative divisions, the oblast is divided into 24 districts and 4 cities of oblast significance. Within the framework of municipal divisions, the territories of the administrative districts are incorporated into 24 municipal districts, and the territories of the 2 cities of oblast significance are incorporated as urban okrugs. 2 other cities of oblast significance are incorporated as urban settlements within corresponding municipal districts.